true. All right, guys, we're gonna take a look at what Kidani had posted. In reference to the economy of Japan, his own insights of Bushiroad's efforts in becoming one of the strongest producers of card games within Japan at this point in time. Kidani is our CEO, our Papa-san, Oyaji, helping us out and trying to steer the ship into the right direction. He's our Capitan. So it's jumbled right now. I'm not too proficient. I'm not too proficient in Japanese, sadly. So we're using the good old Google Translate. It was either Japanese or Chinese, and I don't think Google Translate can handle either because, of course, context changes usually what sentences mean and anything. But we're gonna try to condense it and extrapolate as much as we possibly can to make it concise information for y'all. If I do happen to mess up, you'll have people like Chris or any other content creators who can happen to speak Japanese can illuminate a little bit more on this. It's been a while. This is Kidani. It's been a long time since I posted this column about the future outlook on Bushiroad's efforts. 4 reasons why Japan is booming. For most people who might not have known, Japan has recently opened their borders due to the pandemic. Not wearing off completely, but weaning in a lot of sentiment, local sentiment of them keeping the borders closed has been overturned, and now tourists are now allowed to enter and stay and enjoy the wonderful country that is Japan. I myself, I would like to go there someday, but it's not like something on the forefront of my mind. I just like learning the language and just like being able to try talk to the people one of these days. It'd be kind of nice. The other day when I tweeted on Twitter, Japan will be the most booming economy in 2023. I could see it, but Madame Rona is still illuminating the wings, so that's a very bold statement to say. There was a considerable response. I mean, obviously, we're just coming back into it. Gas prices are super high. Cost of living is also starting to increase a little bit too as well. But sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. My brain, when people talk about economy, my brain just goes like, oh my god. Economics. Oh, please. Debits and credits, please. None. And this is shown in IMF, International Monetary Fund, World Economic Outlook. I think there's like a hyperlink that redirects you to the overview of the IMF. So if you guys want to as well, you guys can go take a look, and they have like a overview that explains like where everybody's standing, the rates and ratios of businesses and how they're doing and stuff, and how the economy is doing well enough. I don't think people of the current generation will be able to really feel the reality, even if they say that the economy is booming. I do feel like we're bouncing back, in all honesty. Even with the even with the global crisis going on, I feel like money is better. You know what I mean? Like your country's wealth. I feel like everybody's country's wealth is a little bit better off than it was at the start of 2022 or the middle of 2022 at least. So it feels better, especially with like countries opening up again, especially in Asia. I think it's feels better at least. Also, even if we say that the economy is booming, we expect the period to be around the next time in 5 or 6 years. It's a slow process, of course. Anything longer than that will involve political issues, which already has started. Which has already started for the past couple of years. Can't foresee it. However, the foundations for a booming economy in Japan in the 2020s are being laid. And here are 4 reasons. First is inbound. Inbound businesses temporarily disappeared due to the coronaviruses. So a lot of malls, districts, a lot of places in Akihabara have all stopped. A lot of local stores all around the world, a lot of local stores have stopped due to the pandemic. So if you've not been able to see, or you were wondering, hey, where did that local shopette go to? Where did that local store go to? So I went into the city this past weekend, or like a week or so ago, and I saw like a couple larger stores show up. I was like, yo, There's a Five Guys in the middle of the city district because I live like relatively close to the city, and it takes me about like half an hour with public transport to get there. So there was like a bunch of like local stores and local businesses and stuff that were there around, and they had to be closed down and of course foreclosed and selling stuff. And up where they were, they popped up with like larger companies and larger stores, which did kind of in the minutia of it, I'm kind of a little upsetty spaghetti about that because I kind of like going to some of the local cafes and bistros and stuff. But again, tangent. I'm gonna try rein in these tangents. Um, Thanks to the depreciation of the yen, that means uh the lower, when faith in your currency is lost, it depreciates in value, so it means that you can buy more of it for a lot less needed, right? So that's a good and a bad thing. That means your money is a lot less worth, so buying things are a bit more difficult, but getting things in your own country is a lot cheaper. All right. The yen has progressed significantly this year. Everything in Japan is now cheap. From a perspective of foreigners, the whole of Japan is in a big bargain sale state, exactly as I explained before. The country that people in the world want to visit, and the visit the most is Japan. I this is a bit more of pride here from Kidani, which I empathize with, because you're like, yeah, Japan is now the best place to visit, so visit here. And of course, you're running a business, so you gotta make your country to look a bit more appealing to people to visit it. Of course, Japan, which has the wonderful tourist destinations, delicious food, history, and tradition. Talking about food, by the way, I don't know about the whole overfishing thing because I knew before the pandemic they had a big issue with overfishing. I am on a tangent the entire time and I can't stop myself. The country and the people in the world want to visit the most of Japan, which is a wonderful tourist destination. Food history will probably attract more inbound tourists than before the pandemic. Yeah, a lot of people are traveling a lot more now because it's opened up, free reign. This year was a year when the disadvantages of the weaker yen were shouted, but I think that in 2023 will be the year where we can fully enjoy the merits of the weaker yen. Many foreigners are already flocking in card shops. I had a friend of mine who went to Japan recently, and he sent like a couple pictures over, and he stayed like for close to a month, and I don't think he spent that much money on it. I think he spent like 2K in total for the entire trip that he was there. It was crazy. 2K euros, by the way. 2K euros, I think. 2 to 3K euros. It was, which is super cheap in comparison to before the pandemic. So like 2 to 3K would get you like a week and a half, maybe max. So, so yeah, that's it's really insane. Week again, many foreigners are already flocking card shops in Akihabara, in Nihonbashi in Osaka to buy single cards. Our Car 5 Vanguard and White Sword single cards are also on the move. They buy it due for the novelty of it, actually, because it's just like going and saying, hey, we bought some Japanese decks, we bought some Japanese cards of future sets and stuff that we could run as proxies. They mostly go there, like most foreigners who do play card fight, usually just want to try pick up some sleeves. Sometimes because, of course, Japan is the Shangri-La of sleeves. And oftentimes we can only compete in most trading card game events if we do happen to have Broccoli's and Z's, and those are very important for us as players, since we do play like a double sleeve card game. And I think Yu-Gi-Oh recently, and a lot of other card games have started to do double sleeves as well. I think Magic was one of the oldest ones who did this, from like way back when, but they didn't really have that strict of a system that I think I would say like a lot of other Japanese card games have. The second is the return of manufacturing industries scattered overseas to Japan. Again, the backdrop of ongoing depreciation of yen, the turmoil of Europe, and the confrontation between the United States and China. Yes, a lot of discourse going on right now in the world. Leading Japanese companies that are active in the world are proceeding with the construction of factories in Japan. A lot of countries are now doing their own their own factories and stuff like that in their own countries. So a lot of like importation, exportation is gonna kind of go on a decline because, of course, a lot of people also want to reduce their carbon footprint by keeping a lot of their resources. They'll be okay with like lowering the resources and housing situations. Some of them will also have like free range housing, and the housing situations would also be affected by it. So they have a lot more apartment complexes. I don't know if malls can be turned into apartment complexes in places like Japan. I know there are some in Europe that might. Some people were looking into it, but a lot of people said it was not really solvable. I know in US that there are a lot of malls that have been converted into housing, but they have like some of the largest distribution factories in the world. So that's something else. The thing in Europe made everybody scared. To be over reliant. Yeah, exactly. Like like in Europe, we figured that we were very over reliant on importation of like computer chips, computer parts, all that stuff. Like a lot of technology that came from China, we became very dependent on it. Shoes, clothing, the distribution factories of all the product lines that were shipped overseas. So for a lot of you young children at home who might not know or have a economics degree or has the interest of how production works in general, oftentimes what company tends to do is to make it cheaper, even if it is to do with shipments, is that you produce the product overseas because the central distribution factors, or where the thing is made there, or like the trees, or if they're using the trees from forests in the neighborhood, it costs a lot less for them to make the product than it would cost them to ship it back home and then distribute it as product. Because then, of course, you need to put a seal of approval and make sure all the product is done well. All of them are checked and stuff, and then they distribute it as their own product. And it's usually done there better for cheaper. So overall, you're saving a lot more money in general if you do it this way. And that's how it works. So if you're wondering, like, how the hell does a particular cardboard card just cost for this much? And of course, it's a secondhand market, but it usually depends on how much distributors charge the card shop to buy product from them, and some of them is also based on pre-orders. Again, tangent. When it comes to money and economics, my brain just overspills. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, wait, I lost. My brain just got lost. Turmoil in Europe, confrontation between. Okay. And active in a world proceeding the construction of factories in Japan. If a global company were to build a factory, the impact would be enormous, with the investment being at least 50 billion yen and most 200 to 200 billion yen. Tangents at a best. No, because it's like you want to how to explain it. Like I'm thinking through the reasoning of why he's writing this and like where he's coming from writing this, and because like my brain constantly think of like, hey, it's a money reason. It's a money reason. Oh yeah, true. He wrote that because it's truly a correct money reason, and that's where my brain goes every single time. Factors overlap. In addition to capital investments, demand, employment will be created in each region of Japan, since regulation, the centralization of everything though does create a dynamic that we had like a lot of overseas companies that used to do a lot of overhead for either translations and stuff, and a lot of people are kind of scared that the translations of whatever cards that we might be getting might not be up to stuff, due to the fact that the last couple of sets the translations weren't too hot because of a lot of translation issues that we had before. So it makes me kind of nervous for this perspective. There's a good and bad for it, of course, because potentially cards might end up being cheaper because the distribution costs might be a lot less. You know what I'm saying? So taxes will be incurred when trying to return the profits of overseas subsidiaries to the parent company. Of course, taxation. Every country that subsidy that company has subsidies in, any branch companies that have subsidies in, oftentimes get taxed based on wages or revenues of income, or country itself. But for a limited time, this will be tax free. Sheesh. Money. Only the transfer of funds of capital investment may be tax free. Anyway, I think that the country should promote the return of manufacturing industry to the domestic market. Good. That's good. Netflix translation for cards. Good me. The article is not long. We're gonna try speed run through as much of it as we possibly can. I'll try to mitigate a lot of the tangents as much as I possibly can. The third is the transformation of Tokyo into an international city. Sheesh. Okay, I guess Tokyo is the heart and soul. I guess like most people, if you would think of Japan, you would think of the radio tower. So yeah, fair enough. Not a lot of people would think of like outer cities and stuff and the outer limits. Like most of those are usually done by the locals themselves, right? This requires little explanation as a phenomenon. I think Tokyo real estate prices will continue to rise. Yep, of course, because it's sort of like Seoul, like Seoul, Korea. Like people already know, like if you just go there, you're going there to do something, either help a business, run a business, start something up. It's relatively a pretty rich country. Also, like in I think what it was Bangladesh. I think it's Bangladesh. It's one of the countries in India that has like a city and like has the largest tower in the world. I know somebody in comments is probably gonna come correct me about this or somebody in the chat, but it's like one of the richest cities in the world. It's also like a semi-international city for if you're rich, I guess. As a MSC properties remain high. At present, if a Western company were to set a base in East Asia, Southeast Asia, Tokyo would be the only option in terms of real estate prices, businesses, infrastructure, and labor costs. Furthermore, from next spring, the demand of office space by domestic companies will increase as the number of people working from home is reduced. I feel like a lot of companies have also ended up downsizing because of this. So I don't know for sure if this is going to be the case. Because you save a lot of extra electricity by downsizing your company and making sure that your employees can work from home. A lot of people in general have been a lot happier being able to work from home instead of working from behind a desk for hours on end. And a lot of the whole dying at work culture might have been mitigated because of it. Because a lot of people might not notice is in Japan, oftentimes if you're working there, you're not allowed to leave the business or leave the office until the boss has, even if it's past your shift. So there's been sometimes people have been working at black companies, which is to say they work in companies that just work inhumane hours and have been known to have people die at their building. And because of the pandemic, a lot of that has been mitigated. So a reintroduction into that type of work environment can be a little pragmatic, to say the least. And of course, the Japanese also don't really have the ideology of firing people, but usually just like reappropriating them to a different job for low paying pay so that they quit themselves rather than them getting fired is also different. But I don't know. I know for sure that I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. The money of people in from all over the world come to Tokyo. Also, we cannot overlook the flow of people and money due to concerns of East Asian emergency. I don't know what that sentence means, but that could be due to the translation. I don't know what that sentence means exactly. I think it's due to the whole China incident, the revolt that happened not recently actually happened recently, like a couple months ago. Like China, a couple of people due to the bank situation and how the economy was being ran. A couple of the citizens in China ended up pulling up arms and saying, "Hey, hey, run them hands." They were sick and tired. The fourth is the resumption of businesses that have been suspended for 3 years due to the pandemic. For example, road construction that was stopped, repair work of apartments that stopped. I forget, like in most of the East Asian countries, a lot of them stopped a lot of infrastructure stuff due to the pandemic because you can't have anybody on the side of the road being sick and coughing on people. The repair work for apartment that was stopped, and the reception party that was stopped. The various things that have been stopped and continue to accumulate due to pandemic are finally starting to move. However, since this is reactionary. This is a reactionary reaction. Interesting choice of phrasing by the computer here. I know Kidani probably meant to phrased it a whole lot better than what the bot said. It will last. It will last from next year to the middle of next year after next. So 2025, I think. It cannot be a factor in the medium long term boom. These two factors overlapping, Japan will continue to grow for some time after 2023. The Japanese wages will continue to rise, but I mean, that's a state of things. Wages do need to rise to meet inflation. So that's natural. Just as the United States in the 1920s overcoming the Spanish flu epidemic, and they enjoyed the booming economy called the Golden Twenties. I mean, I guess Japan will enter its golden age in the 2020s. That is that is a very interesting parallel to draw upon, Kidani. That one was I get you, but you could have said the Roaring Twenties. I mean, they also call them the Roaring Twenties, like a lion sort of thing. Sure. Because everything preceding that was, you know, oh well. However, the economic boom will not last as long as 5 to 6 years. In the meantime, based on the long-term outlook, whether or not we can create a foundation for development that will determine the future of Japan. Yep, that will have to be depending on your lobbyists. It will have to depend depending on your marketeers. It'll be depending on your overall sales plan, your sales reps. So that's entirely up to you, Kidari. You got a lot of people to work with on that one. Talking to government institutes to help maybe try to lower taxations based on things. Creating a legislation that maybe introduces card games as a school activity, as a learned project, as a teaching instrument. Who knows? That'd be pretty good. Or repealing the whole gambling law on card games. That'd be pretty good too. Introduce a monetary system to help pay players for playing your games. The card game industry as a whole performed well this year. Yeah. Wait, I'm dumb. What's going on with Earth? We're doing even though half of it is on fire. Don't look outside. We're fine. Don't worry about it. The card game industry as a whole has performed well a lot of card games came out and a lot of them did pretty well, like Flesh and Blood, One Piece. I don't know much about Digimon. I heard Digimon has been doing kind of rough, or a lot of shops are not choosing to carry it anymore due to the whole distribution issues that have happened. And even with the distribution issues with Vanguard has done relatively well despite this. So yeah. They're actually talking. Kidan is actually talking about this. Popular titles continue to dominate the market, but the new card games such as Bandai's One Piece game and our company Shadowverse Evolve and White Schwartz were hits this year. Wow! Giving pops to Bandai. Okay, the new Pokemon card game. The new hit will bring people who has never touched a card game before into the world of card games. The Pokemon card game, which continues to be a hit, it's also drawing many Pokemon fans into the world card games. Oh my god, that sounds so wholesome. Kidani, that's super wholesome to say. Nice. That's super cool. Like, a lot of people would be very defensive about their own company and try to praise it up. But he was like, you know what? We all did hot. We all did really well this year. The numbers of our card game shops are also increasing because, of course, due to the closing of many, more card games are like, yo, I need to create a locals for my environment. I want to be the central hub people come to hang out. I want to be the third spot. Looking for the number of applications for our company's accredited tournaments. Yes, a lot more players, a lot more tournaments are now starting to sign up. I get the impression that they are increasing by 20 each month. Sheesh, that's a lot, bro. This increase is also at shops that have the intention of holding tournaments. So if just shops that handle cards, it's likely to increase. The more card shops there are, the more people will work there. True. The staff at card game shops recommend card games to people, so the number of people who play card games keep increasing. Yep. We can have our own little Misaki. if we want in our shops, eh? And then increasing number of users will attract more users. I think we have a good circulation. Of course, all of it is holistic. All of it just comes together really well. We're also making various efforts to further expand this trend. Card games have a multifaceted appeal and users that want a variety of things. Our cards are strong enough to please players, rarities to please collectors, the perfection as goods to please anime fans. Among the so-called subcultures, the number of shops increasing with only card games. With the success of new card games inbound demand, the number of shops increasing. The card game industry is expected to continue to grow for the next 2 to 3 years. I think the next year and the year after next will show the most excitement. Okay. I don't know why the bot translated it this way. Like, in the next 2 to 3 years, and the year after then, in next decade to come, sort of thing would have been a bit more profound. But it's how the bot translated it, so I think it's probably how Kadani meant it. Bushi 2023 incentives. Okay, so this is the important part here. So this is their goal. This is the thing that they'll be working on. So there's a lot of hyperlinks as well, showing about the events and stuff that they're going to be holding soon. So let's take a look. In the face of relatively bright outlook, what should Bushiroad do? I mean, of course, you've talked a little bit about the other companies and how well they've been doing compared in combination of getting more players inspired to playing card games. In general, we will further promote globalization. I have a couple apprehensions about that, but okay. In the coming 2024, hiring new graduates, I clearly wrote that English proficiency is one of the several items regarding English proficiency is several items regarding the type of human resources we are also looking for. Hey, yo, Chris, get in there. Teach him. We will also, because I think, I don't know if Chris is back here in Europe. I think he was for a bit, but he might be going back soon for vacation. I mean, he was here for vacation. I think he might be going back soon. We will also put some more effort into hiring foreigners and promote the promotion of foreigners to executive positions. So here's another thing that you also might not know about company policy in Japan as well. Foreigners do not usually get hired to executive positions due to the whole law of not. I mean, I'm not gonna say it in a way of animosity. I mean, saying it in a way of educational purposes. They're traditionalists. They believe that Japanese companies should be run by Japanese people. As anybody who is Spanish would want to be run by a Spanish person. You wouldn't want like a person who just happens to know a bit of Spanish to want to run your company. They're traditionalists, so they believe in how things are as how they've been meant to be for the past 200 years. I won't leave my company who's been ran this way be ran down into the ground. So him taking this stance is super inclusive, very new age, because a lot of old heads. And Kadani is like a relatively young fellow. I think he's like in his 50s, his early 50s. That not a lot of them would take this stance that he's taken. That's crazy. This is awesome. This is great to look forward to. I love it. So you can have people who, but there is another caveat to this: is that sometimes the people who do get voted to executive positions can oftentimes lose those positions very quickly because of sabotage. Just saying, it can happen to anybody in any country, but I've noticed that it has happened a lot when it comes to Asian countries, not just Japanese. I've seen it happen in Chinese and in Korean countries as well, that a lot of executives end up being like sabotaged by their constituents. All right. All right. From March next year, we will hold previews of our card games in Asian countries. The preview was held over 2 days, Friday and Saturday. On Friday, we invited shops, wholesalers, and the media present for our products. And on Saturday, we invited users to actually experience the product regarding the English version of Shadowverse Evolve, which is scheduled to release next year, which is this year. We should like to hold training sessions at 300 stores around the world, jointly with Boothrow staff in Singapore, the United States, and Japan. I'm a little upset that Europe is maybe not included here, but I would like it to also be Europe too. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully they get like a European division also set up over here. We do not have a European division, but it'd be nice if we did. We will also strengthen inbound support. The Bushi Card Game Festival 2023 will be held on April 29th on a Saturday and Sunday the 30th. And it also has a website in English, in Chinese. Information signs will be held at the venue and also written in both English and Chinese, and will evolve into an event that can be joined by overseas customers. So if you're also going there to the events too, if you're just happen to be staying over in Japan, they'll also have a site for you guys too as well, so you guys can take a look at it. My God. That's so cool. It's English. And they're also talking about the products and everything too as well. Wow. That's sick. So if you're going here, you're traveling, you want to have a good time at a Bushi Road event, go for it, dude. That's so cool. That's very inclusive. And then it costs them like a single extra time out of their day to have like a to do this. It's so awesome. Thank you, Kidani. It's really cool of you. In the future, we will not be able to hope for the growth unless we are truly a global company. Oh God, I want to cry. All right. Entertainment companies are no exception. Rather, we believe that entertainment companies must be global. Oh my God. Well, I hope that Europe is also added to the global market, because you did say global, so that means all over the world, Kidani. So, please. EU is it what say to the US again? True. Say hope for growth without being global. Of course, we continue to provide topics for domestic fans as well. The start of 2023 will be Wrestle Kingdom. Kidani is a fan of wrestling, and he also owns the part of the Wrestling Federation as well that does most of the production and entertainment in Japan. So if you guys want to watch some Wrestle Kingdom and some of the awesome people who are taking part, Takahashi. So if you don't remember him, he's like Tiger King Takahashi. Takahashi will be there. So if you want to be, if you want to have fun and want to enjoy yourself, we will continue to provide topics with fans as well. And it'll be on a Wednesday, January 4th. So it's today. It's actually today. The event is actually today. Which professional wrestling fans have been waiting for. Thanks to you, the sales of advance tickets are also excellent. As a memorial tournament for Antonio Ikino, it's a tournament. Oh, I guess someone passed. Quick, go run over. Give me a second. I think it might be a past or former wrestler. Oh, wow. Yeah, he passed last year. Just last year. 43. Wow, that's crazy. He was close to 2 meters tall as well? Darn, dude. Over 80 years old. That's crazy. Wow. So he's like... Okay, that's really cool, man. Rest in peace. And then January 9th, it's also a holiday. In Bushiroad New Year Grand Presentation will be held at Tokyo Dome. City Hall, which a capacity of over 2,000 people. New information about card games, professional wrestling, games, and anime will be announced. And the final event of live performance, so I guess like a singer will be also performing. It'll be a long event, but the presentation will be streamed on the YouTube channel. So please take a look, especially for White Schwartz and White Schwartz Baru will announce more than 10 titles total. All of them powerful titles. Please look forward to them. So I guess a bunch of different anime is going to be added to Shadowverse universe. So, keep posted. Maybe a second wave, a third wave of extra support. And 2023, Bushiroad will go stronger. I want to be strong in everything. And ride the big trend that will make Japan's economy boom. I believe that if the number of companies like ours increase, the economy will really boom, and I will carry out activities that will make me think so. Japan's restart has already begun. The last thing that remains is the part of the Japanese feelings. The conditions are already ready. In 2023, let's take both the real mask and the heart mask. Take off both the real mask and the heart mask to do our best. That's wrestling terminology. That's because like in wrestling, the wrestling federation that he has, there's like a wrestler that wears like a tiger mask and stuff, and I think it's like one of his favorite wrestlers, and it represents the company in some way. So I guess it's an analogy since he's a wrestling fan. It's cute. It's very cute. Like it got translated, and it got pretty garbled there at the end, but I think I understood what it was meant. Let's take off the mask out of our hearts to let sunshine in, I guess, or something like that. And thank you for your continued support of the Bushiroad group in 2023. Solid, Kidani. Solid, solid, solid. A lot of hype, a lot of build up. Potential payoff as well. Some of the events are being regulated already, and 15 years of Bushiroad going strong and a lot of events being held for it. It's going to be super, super, super good. So with that being said, guys, that was this video for today. Kidani is giving us some feedback on how he feels the direction of company is going, and where he wants to take of it. I went on some tangents. I don't know if I'll feel inclined to edit any of this out, or I might just keep all of it in. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, even with my tangents. And if I said anything incorrectly, of course, some of you guys can either ask what I meant, or you can correct me, of course, if I made some obvious mistakes, or I forgot some things or missed some things to mention. This was more or less just to give an idea, get a rough idea. This is very loose translation as to what Kidani meant when he typed everything up and sent it in. I'm really excited for what we could understand or what we could read. Appreciative of a company head going through the means of explaining how his thought process is, what he thinks about it. He wants to support his country. He wants to make the economy strong. And he also wants to support the players. And he also recognizes that the international market is exactly what I also mentioned, like as of last year, that Bushiroad needs to become a global company. Needs to. Not to say that it needs it to survive, but it needs it if he wants to introduce new players to the game. Because of course you can just keep it all local, all domestic if you want to. But globalization is one of the best ways to have it be introduced to the larger standing play base, and having different subsidiaries, at least that do some of the paperwork, or some hub that people can go to talk to them, that it can reach you somewhere, is very important. And I think at least Europe should be a place that they should look at. I know it didn't work out too well for them a couple years ago, but I think Europe should be a place they should look at again. Please, Kidani, please do it. That being said, that was really cool. Be awesome, stay awesome, guys.